What is happening, guys and gals? A little bit different here in the backyard, not on the water, but talking about something equally as important. Okay, I'm talking about casting and how important that is. I have hundreds of people on my boat, and there is a difference between somebody that is very good at being able to put a cast down and somebody who is not. Okay, and what I'm talking about is I'm talking about being able to place a lure, something like this, like a top knot or a top water or something, or a hard bait or a soft plastic, to place it in the water where you want with a minimum amount of splash. In the Keys, they call this the no splash cast. Okay, that's what bonefish guys and permit guys will call it. It's not easy to do. Okay, it takes some talent. It takes some talent. It takes a lot of practice. That's what it takes. Okay, but what's different is you have to change the trajectory of the plug. It has to come up from the bottom and then land down. Okay, so it can't be a cast over, right, like a conventional cast where you're casting above and letting it come down. It has to be a cast that comes from underneath, and then you stop it, and the trajectory is then going up, and then you stop it, and it just sits down perfectly. And I tried to record some examples earlier of a no splash versus a regular. Okay, but the important part is that you have to roll at the beginning. You have to roll underneath to get that cast. Okay, and I'm going to show you kind of an examples here. God, I just laid down an absolute perfect one. But you have to be able to roll at the beginning to get that good cast. Okay, and then you have to be able to stop the spool too. If you're throwing with the bait caster, this is easier. In saltwater, I use all spinning stuff. So what I'm doing is I'm palming the spool with this hand, right? So you're coming underneath and you're palming it to stop it in time. Okay, so again, it's kind of like a roll and then a stop. And that's what you hear in all my casts and all my videos. You'll hear this sound when I'm casting. That's me stopping the braid. I never let it go. Okay, I'm always stopping it and laying it down. That's going to be the difference between making a lot of noise and making a little noise. Okay, and that may not seem important, but there are instances where that change, okay, so that splash that it does or does not make are going to make the difference between you catching a fish or not catching a fish. It's not going to be every day. There's going to be days where they're going to chew it so hard they're not going to care if it lands soft, hard, whatever. But there are going to be some days where they're only going to want it laid down perfectly and quietly still. Okay, and it's not easy to do, so you have to practice. So that's what I'm kind of trying to give you guys an idea of what to do. It is for bass anglers, it's paramount. They do it constantly. Any professional bass angler, even an amateur angler, any good bass angler can roll cast. But inshore guys, I shouldn't say I haven't seen a lot. Not as many can do it well, okay? Because they don't need to inshore fishing. You're generally making long casts across flats, right? But there's many times where you're sight fishing or you want to lay a cast down underneath something, underneath a dock, underneath a bush, underneath a branch, underneath anything, underneath a bridge, and you have to get it low. And that roll at the beginning is what's going to do it. You have to be able to roll it. Okay? So I'm going to give you an example here of what it's going to look like, the mechanics of it. But I just want to kind of explain. You guys have to know how to do this. I'm telling you, this is not an option. You have to know how to do this. Okay? It'll put more fish in the boat. It'll allow you to present to more fish. Snook especially. Okay? And I can attest to this firsthand. I've casted so many fish before and they spook as soon as the lure hits the water. Okay? And if you get good at this type of cast, at this quiet entry cast, you're going to catch a lot more fish. They will not spook. Okay? Snook, any other fish, they don't like baits falling out of the sky and landing in front of them. They know that that is not the way that things are supposed to go. But if they cruise up to a bait and then the bait takes off, that is very natural. That happens all the time. They sneak up on something by accident, it takes off. So if you're able to lay a bait down quietly, that's what it looks like to them. They don't see it land. They just come up to a bait and it's there. Okay? But you have to be able to put it down there quietly. I just did like 3 perfect ones in a row. Oh, let me show you guys what I got going on here first, just so you know what I'm using. 4000 Shimano Stratic. This is one of the new ones. This is an XG. And I got a little top knot pencil. Okay, this is a 4-inch bait. 30-pound braid, 40-pound leader. Just my typical topwater stuff for smaller topwaters. Okay, so conventional cast, what you would normally do, or what you see most people do, is they're going to cast up, right from the bottom up. So like this. And you don't know if you can even hear that. It lands like a cannonball. The lure is coming down the whole time. It's going like this, right into the water. What you want to do to make it splash less is you want the lure to start underneath, come underneath, okay? Be very close to the water, and then you stop it right at the end and it lays down, okay? So it looks more like this. Okay, do you see it? I'm rotating underneath. Lure's coming underneath, trajectory has changed. Okay, so it's going up and then I'm laying it down perfectly. Okay, that is what makes the difference. That little roll, that little roll makes the difference. Not just in laying it down, but in accuracy. You can put that thing anywhere because you're not coming from above, you're coming from underneath. So now you can go underneath docks, you can go underneath trees, you can go underneath anything. Okay, but you gotta change that little roll. That little roll, that is what does it. It's just a little roll with the wrist. Okay? Almost every cast I make, I'm doing that. Unless you're just bombing it straight across a flat and just sending it full on, then you can just let it rip, right? Then do a conventional cast like this, like you would if your surf cast big, like that. But if I'm doing this, anything close quarters, roll cast every time, every single time. And it lays down so quietly compared to a regular cast, it makes a huge difference. Not even gonna lie, it's actually less effort too. So, in conclusion, guys, learn how to do that roll cast, right? Learn how to change that trajectory. We always talk about, getting better as an angler, and I always talk about time on the water, okay? Because that's everything. That is where everything happens. This is one of the few examples where you're actually going to get better, even if you're not on the water. I mean, I'm at home right now. I'm casting in my pool. But practicing like this is going to make you a better angler when the time comes, okay? There's going to be chances, right? And you guys know this. You guys that have been fishing a while know this. There's going to be times when you're fishing and you only get 2 or 3 shots a day. Good shots, okay? You have to be able to put that lure in the right spot. You have to, okay? So when that time comes, you have to be able to execute. Just like in any other sport, the pressure's on, you finally get that shot, you finally have the chance to make that score, you have to do it. That's the difference between winning or losing. Same with fishing sometimes. Sometimes they're biting, it doesn't matter where you put it. You can make a horrible cast and get bit. Sometimes it has to be perfect, okay? But that's gonna make the difference between you doing well and having consistency all the time, okay? So take the time to do it. Learn to roll cast, learn to lay that cast down with minimal splash, minimal disturbance, and you'll catch more fish, I promise.